Hey guys, it's Christian here with my wife Kristen, and we're gonna do a review slash discussion of the Harry Potter film series. I've seen the film series several times, as well as read all the books. And Kristen saw the movies for the first time about 2 weeks ago. And we watched one a day. So yeah, I guess we just jump right into it. So
Yeah.
I guess just to start off, what are your thoughts of just the overall film series in general?
Yeah, so when I was younger, I was very skeptical. I didn't really grow up with that kind of stuff, so I never really watched it and didn't really have any, like, thinking of it, and I was like, okay, I don't really like it. But then I watched it a few weeks ago, and each movie just kept getting better and better, and each time I was just more into it, more into it, more into it. The story was really awesome, the characters were great, so yeah, I think it was a great series that is, if it still lives on today, then it has to have been good. So yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed every single movie from the first one to the very last one.
Nice.
Each one was great.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was actually one of those also. Growing up, I wasn't allowed to like watch the movies or read the books or anything. But then when I was around like 11 or 12, my parents were like, "Okay, yeah, you're old enough to watch them now and then eventually read the books and stuff." So yeah, totally was with you on that. But yeah, once I was old enough to watch all of them, I just became obsessed and just fell in love with them. But yeah. So what are your thoughts on just the character of Harry Potter himself?
I loved his character. I thought he's so innocent, but has that boy in him. Obviously, I know he's a boy, but he has that boy quality where he's very much, I want to try something, but I don't know if I want to try something because it might backfire.
Yeah.
But also, Daniel Radcliffe did a fantastic job of portraying him, and I thought that any other person would have been wrong. Like even before knowing who Harry Potter is, like no, that's who Harry Potter looks like. It's just kind of I love his character qualities too last throughout the entire series, and he still has them, and he gets to keep, he doesn't lose them, and he keeps track of what he wants to do, and that's to attack Voldemort and get rid of all the evil in the Hogwarts land and like that kind of thing. So yeah, I thought he was a great character. J.K. Rowling did a fantastic job, obviously, with
definitely.
him and his character traits and his character.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I love him too. In the books, he's a little bit more on the sassy side. It's very from the very beginning. He's always kind of like talking back to like his aunt and uncle and things like that. But in the movie, I like how Daniel Radcliffe he kind of humanizes Harry a little bit more. Just makes him a little bit more relatable in that way. But yeah, he's a great actor, and he was consistent all through 8 movies and everything. So he was great. The Boy Who Lived.
Yes.
Good stuff. So yeah, so we'll just jump right into each movie. We'll just give like our take on each of the individual movies and kind of just go from there, giving our thoughts, and then just talking about maybe like a specific element from the movie that we can kind of break down. Since there's so many of them, we could be here for hours. So we'll just kind of just talk about one element. So yeah, we'll just start off with Sorcerer's Stone, the first movie, or in the UK it's called the Philosopher's Stone, but here in the US it's called Sorcerer's Stone. But yeah, what were your thoughts on the first movie, The Sorcerer's Stone?
A good introduction to everything, all the characters. I particularly loved Hermione's character just because I'm more like her. But it was a good introduction just to say like who all the people were, plus leaving the audience wanting more. Like kind of like, okay, let me question who is this person, who is this person. But yeah, all the main characters were introduced. I thought the storyline was great just because it showed the innocence of the kids, but also the mischievous side of the kids, and how they're learning to use magic and things like that. So I just thought it was a really good introduction, and to the teachers as well.
Yeah.
The teachers it was a great. I think it was just a good overall first movie. It doesn't leave you wondering, okay, who is that person? Why are they there? It really just answers all those questions, and it kind of just leaves their storyline up for interpretation.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. What was good about the first movie is that by that point the first 4 books have already been published, so they kind of already knew that they're going to be making more movies. I guess the only biggest gamble was if like this first movie like failed, then it's just like, oh shoot, how are we gonna do this for 6 more movies and everything? Or I guess well, they didn't know they're gonna make 8 movies, but yeah, so it was definitely a huge gamble, but it was a huge payoff for sure, just because it had a huge fan base with the books, so they kind of already knew like, yeah, we're gonna succeed with the film series and everything. So yeah, and I agree. I really loved the first movie. It was a great introduction to the world and the characters and the story and everything. And I think Ron's my favorite character. He was always my favorite character in the books, and then in the movies I thought Rupert Grint did a good job as well. So yeah, thumbs up for Sorcerer's Stone. But yeah, I guess we can talk about the Sorcerer's Stone specifically. I guess just a little bit of a setup. The way that Harry, Ron, and Hermione kind of stumble upon the stone is that they're kind of like walking to class, and in the hallways and stuff, there's stairways that kind of go like randomly from like left to right, and they kind of stumble upon this secret door, and they go through it, and they see there's like a 3-headed dog named Fluffy. And then Hermione notices, hey, he's actually sitting on a trap door. And then like as the story goes on, they kind of uncover that the Sorcerer's Stone is actually under that trap door, and they suspect that one of the professors, Professor Snape, is actually the one trying to steal the stone. So their whole mission is to try to take back the stone from Snape, and just keep it from any kind of evil to be done. But then towards the end, there's like a big twist, and you realize that it was actually Professor Quirrell who was actually after the stone the whole time. And he kind of takes off his turban, and then you see Voldemort on the back of his head, and you realize that Voldemort was actually leeching off of Quirrell like over his soul. And the whole like big reveal is that in the Mirror of Erised, which is a device that you look at it, and you see like your greatest desire. He looks in the mirror because Quirrell's like, I need you to look in the mirror and find out where the stone is. And then he sees a reflection kind of reaching into the pocket and then pulling out the stone and putting it back in his pocket, and then Harry kind of feels it, and he's like, oh shoot, I have the stone in my pocket the whole time. So what are your thoughts on that kind of twist of like how the stone is revealed within the story?
I mean, I think it just kind of shows that Harry's special from the beginning. I know he already is because he has the scar on his forehead, but I think it just shows him what a powerful wizard he is. Plus, I think it kind of tells people, okay, he could be the one. Obviously, if they read the books and they know, like, obviously, like, the whole thing is about Harry Potter and, like, things like that. But I think people get the idea that he's super, super important, and I think he starts to realize it too. Maybe he's the one that has to do all this stuff, and he's, like, the chosen one or whatever. I know they get to that in other movies, but that's what I kind of feel like when it just appears to him, because stuff just keeps appearing to him. So it kind of just shows people trust him to do something, or he's the one that's supposed to do something.
Yeah.
So obviously, he gets it because he's the Harry Potter, and he's the person that is going to have to take it on. Yeah,
so we can move on to Chamber of Secrets, second movie in the Harry Potter series. What were your thoughts on the Chamber of Secrets?
I think he kind of gets his first taste of the power of Voldemort and what he can do. And he also realizes what he needs to do in order to start destroying them. He doesn't realize it right away, but he realized it later on, like, all the things that I did in the earlier movies. This one of them being that he had to use the fang of the snake to destroy the diary. And so I think it also just kind of just shows, this is how I can start defeating him. But obviously he doesn't know there's other things he has to defeat as well. But I do like that because his going into the diary too, I think it shows a lot, and it gives him more knowledge for later on. Yeah. And things that he remembers, and I like how all the elements from these movies just continue to tie together. But yeah, it was really good. I definitely enjoyed the uncovering more clues to his story. Yeah, definitely, yeah. Chamber of Secrets, I don't like it as much as the first one, and as well as the book as well. It's kind of like a repeat of the first movie / first book. And then there's just like a lot of stuff with the ending that I'm not really a big fan of.
But it does give more backstory to Harry's character. You realize that Voldemort transfers some of his powers to Harry, like the night that he gave him the scar, like the fact that he could talk to snakes, because that's brought up in the first movie where him and his aunt and uncle and Dudley go to the zoo, and then he's talking to the snake to attack Dudley.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, and then in this one, snakes definitely are a big theme in Chamber of Secrets, where there's like a scene of like the dueling club where Malfoy and Harry are dueling each other, and then Malfoy summons a snake with one of his spells, and the snake is about to attack one of the students named Justin, who's a Muggleborn, and Muggleborns are people who are wizards who have non-wizarding parents, and
Like Hermione.
yeah, like Hermione, and she's kind of called out for it as well. And as the story goes on, he kind of uncovers this whole conspiracy of all the Muggleborns being petrified by snakes. So once the snake actually tries to attack Justin, Harry tries to like talk the snake down by using Parseltongue, and Parseltongue is a language you speak, a snake language. And apparently Parseltongue is something that like no wizard uses except for evil wizards, like dark wizards. And the last person to use Parseltongue was Salazar Slytherin, who's like the founder of Slytherin House, one of the evil houses in Hogwarts. So yeah, that's kind of him kind of discovering more of his identity and everything. That like it's not me who's kind of coming up with these powers. It's like the fact that Voldemort transfers some of his powers to me. So that definitely does give a lot of backstory to his character. And then, as you said before, like Tom Riddle's diary, where Harry kind of goes back and discovers when the Chamber of Secrets was first opened and how a Muggleborn was killed, who turned out to be Moaning Myrtle. And so yeah, it's definitely a little bit more like backstory. A lot of these storylines get kind of brought up again later on in the series, but yeah, it definitely is like a good kind of like gives more history, more context to
It's a good
both,
segue movie.
yeah, to both Harry and Voldemort.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's good. It's just not one of my favorite, but
I agree.
But yeah, but yeah, what are your thoughts on the actual chamber itself when like Harry and Ron kind of discover the Chamber of Secrets is actually in the girls' bathroom, the very bathroom that Moaning Myrtle was killed in, because Harry sees a little snake symbol on the little faucet on the sink, and he speaks Parseltongue to it, and then suddenly the entrance opens up, and there's this big like tunnel that leads in, and then him and Ron and Lockhart kind of go into the chamber, and then to save Ginny.
Yeah, I think it's pretty genius to put it in a bathroom where all the girls are scared to go, because obviously bathrooms are where girls like to talk and congregate sometimes. So I think it's pretty genius, and to have Moaning Myrtle still in there, I mean, she's a very wacky character, so I can understand why girls wouldn't want to go in there.
Yeah, exactly.
But also, I think the boys are pretty brave for going into a girl's bathroom, just because that's where... But I think it's pretty genius, like, to hide something in there, because, like, girls would never find it. Girls, like, they wouldn't... They're... Yeah. So I just think it's pretty genius of the author to put it in there and and make it this kind of guarded by a dead person.
Yeah, exactly.
But she's like, she's dead, but she's not at the same time. So I just think of like, have her be. I think it's kind of funny. You guard it, keep away all the girls, but the boys are like, okay, we're just gonna walk in.
Exactly.
So I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. Just like the whole theme of like hidden in plain sight.
Yeah.
Like just don't judge a book by the cover. By the fact that like Moaning Myrtle is supposed to come out as this kind of like really annoying character that everyone's trying to avoid, but she actually becomes like the most essential character in the story, because she's the one who was killed by the Chamber of Secrets monster from like 50 years ago, and she's the one who kind of tells Harry and Ron like I was killed in this bathroom, and then this is eventually where the Chamber of Secrets is. But yeah, that was Chamber of Secrets. So now we can move on to The Prisoner of Azkaban, the third in the series. So what are your thoughts on the third movie?
I like this one because it introduces a new character, and also I really like the aspect of like newspapers, like being living newspapers. I think it's kind of cool. But like thinking Sirius Black is this huge like monster, which really we find out later that he's related to Harry, and that he's but I think it's kind of cool that all throughout the entire movie I thought he was this horrible person, and then all of the henchmen we thought were okay people, and then Ron's rat ends up being
Yeah.
the horrible person.
Yep.
And then Sirius ends up being this person that they go and they save because he was a person that was framed for stuff. And I think it's I like the twists and turns. I like that it's not what you think it is, and I think that's what a good movie should be. It's like you think one thing the whole time, you're like, no, wait a minute, oh, okay, well, no, he's not. And so I think just the journey they go on to get him, and I love Buckbeak.
Yeah.
Is it Buckbeak?
Yeah.
Buckbeak is amazing. I love that storyline too. How it was just this. It was Ron and Hermione watching themselves.
Yeah.
And like all that stuff. So it's kind of funny just watching the story within a story. Like they're like a third person and a first person. So it's really interesting watching that part, and that's what helped them realize, oh, they saved this person. Like I don't know. I think it was such a good movie. It's probably one of my favorites. I mean, obviously, Order of Phoenix is my favorite one, but I just think it's a good, storyline to keep audiences guessing, but to also continue the story. I don't know. It's really well written. I loved it. I mean, obviously, I was asking tons of questions during the movie, and you were not answering any of them. So I think it was. I don't know. I really like the twist because Sirius Black sounds like a horrible person's name. But in the end, no, he turned out to be an amazing person to help Harry out. So, I really like that part of it.
Yeah. Prisoner of Azkaban is probably my personal favorite movie, just because like the visuals and like the cinematography and like just kind of that atmosphere that the director Alfonso Cuarón kind of builds within the movie. But yeah, the whole twist of Sirius Black actually being Harry Potter's godfather, and that he was actually innocent, because the whole thing is that when Voldemort kind of marked Harry's parents, James and Lily, for death, they needed a thing called a secret keeper. It's explained more in the books. They needed a secret keeper, and that secret keeper is basically someone who is they're kind of put under this spell, or like kind of like an enchantment or charm, where they like no matter like how many times a person like asks them the question, they have to keep the secret unless they voluntarily tell them like what the secret is. So Sirius thought he was going to be the secret keeper, but Harry's parents thought that it would be too obvious for them to kind of go after Sirius, so they made the secret keeper Peter Pettigrew, which was James's other best friend, because there's like 4 best friends, the Marauders.
Ron's rat.
Yeah, Ron's rat. So, but before we get to Ron's rat, he was just like a human, or an animagus, and that is also a theme that kind of comes up in the series, like people who can transform from humans to animals and then back again. So Peter Pettigrew was the secret keeper, and secretly he was kind of in talks with Voldemort, because he's a rat, so symbolize a rat. He ratted James and Lily out to Voldemort, and then Voldemort figured out where James and Lily were hiding and then killed them. And then Sirius tried to go after Peter Pettigrew, but then Peter Pettigrew kind of used a spell to kind of blow himself up in a way, but he really just kind of used a spell to create an explosion, create chaos. He killed like a dozen muggles in the process. He like cut off his own finger and then left it behind, transformed into a rat, and then escaped. And then Sirius was kind of like left in the crime scene. So when all the wizards kind of came in to arrest Sirius, they saw these dead muggles, and then saw like the finger of Peter Pettigrew. So they locked Sirius up in Azkaban prison, because they thought he was the one who killed all these people. So Sirius was completely innocent, and then Peter Pettigrew got away with it. But then towards the end, the whole twist of Sirius being innocent, and then Peter Pettigrew being revealed to be the one who actually murdered all those people, and spilled the beans of where James and Lily were hiding, causing Voldemort to kill them, and Harry becoming who he is. So, but yeah, towards the end they try to capture Peter Pettigrew, but then Lupin turns into a werewolf, which is also another secret that gets revealed, and Peter Pettigrew gets away, and then but luckily Sirius was able to escape on Buckbeak and get away. But anyway, that's for another movie. On to The Goblet of Fire. So, what are your thoughts on the 4th movie, Goblet of Fire?
I like in this one, they have that tournament, the Triwizard Tournament. They have 3 big wizards come to Hogwarts, or 2 come, and then 1 from Hogwarts, and then I like Harry's name gets put in there. So now there's 4, and he's like not as good as these people are. I do like throughout all of that, he gets information on how to finish the tasks without killing himself. And then I still love his character. At the very thing that stands out the most is the fact that he saves a wizard. He takes him with him to the graveyard and, tries to, he eventually dies, not Harry, but the other guy eventually dies. And so he tries to save him, and he tries to do as much as he can for him, and he kind of gets more glimpses because, the cup was cursed and this kind of thing. So I like all the elements because, it shows Harry's resilience, and it shows more of his character, and it shows how much friendships mean to him, because I know in this movie, friendships kind of got a little rocky, especially between him and Ron.
Yeah.
But I do like the teachers were trying to help him, or they're trying to just protect him because they do find favor with him.
Yeah.
But the fact that he just saves more people, like in the one where the people are paralyzed, they're stunned, like they're frozen, and kind of he saves 2 people because the other person got eliminated from that one, and so he just shows that he's okay to give up himself for others, and I think that's his character throughout the whole movie, and so I like that he wasn't stuck up in that point and just went with his own. But I still like the good versus evil aspect, and how is obviously you see Voldemort in the graveyard, and he kind of sort of hurts him a little bit. Harry hurts him a little bit, but it's not enough to obviously kill him. But I just like the whole idea of the tournament, and how it doesn't matter if you're a strong wizard or a weaker wizard, or a strong person versus a weaker person. Like, you have power within you to defeat who you need to defeat, or what you need to defeat, or have power to give you confidence with something, because he definitely gained a lot of confidence because he was not confident at the very beginning. So I like that one. I like that we don't know who put it in until the very end, because he's obviously ridiculed for it and made fun of, and because there's an age limit and this. So I just think that because who puts it in? Mad-Eye Moody. Yeah, because Mad-Eye Moody does put it in, but he also kind of gives him confidence to complete it. And there's a reason for it, and things like that. So
exactly. Yeah, because of the Triwizard Tournament is supposed to be kind of like this ancient event that kind of happens every couple of years or so, maybe 100 years or so, I think. And then finally they kind of have the year where Harry's the 4th year, and it kind of happens during his tenure at Hogwarts. And it's the Triwizard Tournament, so there's only supposed to be 3. And so they have Cedric Diggory, who's supposed to represent Hogwarts, and then Victor Crumb, who represents Durmstrang, and then Flair Delacour, who represents Beauxbatons. So they have three champions, and then suddenly they have a 4th champion with Harry. Harry's name comes up, and it's wait a minute, there's only supposed to be 3 champions, why is there 4? And then it kind of gets revealed that he can't kind of forfeit from the tournament because the rules are absolute, so he has to compete in the tournament. So it really is a really good kind of it kind of really tailors his character a lot, makes him more brave, makes him more kind of courageous, because he has to go through 3 tournaments. He has to get a golden egg from a dragon. He has to save, like you said, his friends from underwater, and then kind of go through a maze and everything. So it kind of really just shows the strength of his character. And at the very end, the unexpected task of Voldemort kind of raising back from the dead, where he gets a body again, because they're in the graveyard. They use the bone of Voldemort's father. They use the flesh from Peter Pettigrew, because he chops his hand off and puts it in the cauldron. And they use blood from the enemy, because Harry's blood is supposed to be special, because the blood that runs through his veins is Lily's blood. And then the kind of ancient magic that Lily gave to Harry was the ultimate magic, was just love. So Voldemort wants to know that secret. like how to make himself indestructible. So Voldemort raises up from the dead and battles Harry, but Harry gets away. So now the whole series is kind of twisted, and now Voldemort's returned, and now like the remainder of the series is about Harry kind of trying to defeat Voldemort now that he's returned. Before we get to that, what do you think about the twist of Mad-Eye Moody actually being Barty Crouch Jr., kind of being like a servant to Voldemort in disguise as Mad-Eye Moody?
That was the part where when he was found in the little thing, right? Like there were two people, but like his alter ego. I think it just kind of showed me kind of what do I believe, what do I not believe in this, like who's good, who's bad. You don't really know who to trust. So it was kind of, it was just an interesting storyline, I guess, because I do like the character. I think he's creepily great, just because he looks different. Like it looks like with his eye like shaking like a googly eyeball. But I think making that twist is it just kind of shows, okay, who do you trust, who can you trust, who can you not trust, and it kind of just shows Harry, okay, you need to stick to like what so your friends.
Exactly.
And so he can trust his friends and Gryffindor and some of the other professors there that have the best for him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that kind of goes right into the next movie, Order of the Phoenix. So what are your thoughts on the movie? I know you were saying that it was like one of your favorite movies.
This is probably my favorite one.
Yeah.
I think it's just because people come from Harry's past and like in the movies and just come and they help him as much as possible. And also you have this new amazing character of Madame Lestrange. She's fantastic. I know fantastically evil, but it's so intriguing. So I really, really love this one just because they kidnap him just to save him, and also I love Hagrid. He's probably also one of my favorites. Just all of those people together coming, I think I just really value the idea of family and the idea of that close-knit group of people. And just the fact that they all come to help Harry, and obviously not all of them make it. They give up their lives for him to, make him the star. But it's just such a good overall, like, community that comes and fights with him. And the other part that I really liked was he assembles Dumbledore's army in secret, because this other teacher, what's her name? Umbridge, yes, Umbridge, the lady in pink is all I remember. That she just takes over and says, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't. So there's like, no, we can. And then he does this army down there and teaches them spells, and they come and help. And it's such a cool, like, it shows what Voldemort is missing, and that's love, and that's family, and that's friendship, that's loyalty. Not loyalty in the evil way, but loyalty in, like, no matter what. Because obviously we know in the other movies that loyalty for evil does not always stay. But loyalty for Harry does. And so I just think I love those groups of people coming, and like the surprise element of them, and like the trickery they pull and things like that. So I don't know, this was my favorite one just because of those elements in particular. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, because throughout this movie, Harry kind of gets these visions of like what Voldemort's up to, and that's kind of revealed towards the end that the scar on Harry's forehead is actually a window into Voldemort's mind. And Voldemort can actually kind of manipulate Harry's thoughts in a way, and he kind of gives him this vision of Sirius kind of in the Department of Mysteries, which is within the Ministry of Magic, which gets revealed in this movie, which is kind of like the kind of magical world's like government, the Wizarding World government in a way. So then Harry's like, oh no, we gotta save Sirius because he's in danger. They kind of go to the Department of Mysteries, and then it ends up being this big trap where all the Death Eaters are there, and they attack the kids, but then the Order of the Phoenix comes and saves them, but then Sirius actually ends up getting killed in the process. And then Dumbledore comes, fights Voldemort, and then kind of Voldemort gets away, and then kind of like the Ministry comes back, and they see, wait, Voldemort returns! So now they're on Harry's side, because throughout the film they're kind of against Harry and trying to like quiet him down. It's like, no, Voldemort's not here. It's like, what are you talking about? Just stay quiet. But then the truth is revealed. Voldemort's back, and then now the Wizarding World is preparing for war against Voldemort and the Death Eaters. So yeah, that was a good story, and then the ball just kind of keeps rolling from there right into Half-Blood Prince. So what are your thoughts on the sixth movie in the series, Half-Blood Prince?
This one was okay. Probably wasn't as big of one of my favorites. But the potion book that Harry finds, I think that just starts him getting into more of a greedy, because he realizes how powerful he is. I think it starts getting to his head, and he uses those spells, and people are like, what is that? And he upstages Hermione, which is unheard of, because she's like the know-it-all. And I think that him just using that, I think the biggest thing is it just gets to his head a little bit, and that he tries to use it on Snape, which obviously Snape knows all of them because he is that person, which makes sense because he's half good, half evil. He works for both sides. Obviously in the end he kind of dies working for both sides still. He doesn't really pick one or the other, which is his downfall. But yeah, that one, it was okay. It wasn't my favorite one, but I think it definitely keeps going with the story of more clues, and now we figure out, okay, Snape can't be trusted. Like, thought we could trust him, and so they're really learning, and obviously it brings it to like the last book as well. So it kind of just builds up that tension a little bit. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, this is definitely more of like a transitional kind of movie in the series. I guess because like J.K. Rowling was kind of getting towards the end. She was like, oh, this has to be 7 books. I have to figure out something for like 5 and 6 in order to lead up to 7. So, but what I really like about the 6th one, like you said, it really does kind of build in the clues, gives more backstory to Voldemort, who's beforehand was Tom Riddle. The fact that he was, he was a half-blood just like Harry. His father was a muggle, and then his mother was a wizard, or a witch. And it's revealed more in the books, but at least in the movies, it just kind of, just shows him that he had like a really bad childhood. He was in an orphanage. Dumbledore came and kind of took him out of that orphanage and brought him to Hogwarts. And then Tom Riddle kind of rose up to prominence as like, the greatest student. And then he wanted to kind of figure out more things that he can do to become more powerful. And they eventually found out about these things called Horcruxes, which become a lot bigger elements in the next one. It also turns out that Tom Riddle's diary that Harry destroyed was also a Horcrux, so one was down. And a Horcrux is something that, it's an object that you put a piece of your soul in, so if your body dies, your soul can live on through these little pieces of magic. So Voldemort was trying to make 7 of them, so he talked to this professor named Professor Horace Slughorn to find out the secret, and that's kind of revealed within kind of the memories that Harry and Dumbledore kind of look through Tom Riddle's memories, and they figure out that Horace Slughorn gave Tom Riddle the secret to how to make a Horcrux. So the whole kind of plot of Half-Blood Prince is trying to divulge this memory because Slughorn kind of tampered with his memory in a way to kind of skirt around the issue, but then Slughorn kind of gave him the memory. They found out the secret of Tom Riddle trying to make a Horcrux, and then from that movie onwards, it's kind of like the hunt for the Horcruxes, as it could have been called, subtitled as. So Harry and Dumbledore kind of go to this cliffside, kind of this underground cliffside, and find the locket, but then it's revealed that's a fake, and then Harry, Ron, and Hermione kind of have to figure out, okay, we need to find the real one, and then find the rest of the Horcruxes. So that's kind of what leads them into the last movie, which is Deathly Hallows, parts 1 and 2. So what are your thoughts on Deathly Hallows parts 1 and 2?
Well, good ending to the whole series, and the journey they go on to figure out where these are. I think it also shows their intelligence that they've learned throughout the entire time, because obviously they go in a group of 3. Obviously, and they also have friendship issues along the way, and friendship romances along the way. But I think his determination to find all the Horcruxes and just destroy them and figure out different ways on how to destroy them, I think is so telling of him. And obviously they learn about the Master of Death and things like that, all the little things, and Harry obviously realizes that he has all of them in him and on his person, and he gets them. But in between all of that, just finding those Horcruxes and bringing back memories of his family, bringing back memories of all, you know, the people that have passed away and things like that. And also when Voldemort gets to Hogwarts, they, you know, the teachers that protect, you know, he comes back to Hogwarts to fight these people and find them because he realizes the Horcrux is at Hogwarts. So then, of course, Hogwarts is protected by this, you know, whatever, all the teachers are doing it. And then they have his ultimate battle. And, you know, the ultimate good versus evil battle in this. And I think the biggest twist that, you know, he obviously, when he meets up with Voldemort, he has to be the one, because he finds out he has to be the one to defeat Voldemort. And he has to, one person has to die in order for the other person to have, like, to live, like that type of thing. And so when I just like the twist of when he, you know, hits Harry, he destroys the Horcrux in Harry, but not Harry himself. Yeah. And it's kind of like, you know, he thinks he's won and all this stuff, and then Harry comes back, and all Voldemort's leader or followers just start going away, which is so great because it shows that they're not really loyal. They just want to be in power. When they're not in power, they're scared. And so I don't know. I think it's such a good ending to the movie. And then obviously Voldemort does get destroyed because good always wins in the end. And then the epilogue of them with their kids and going to Hogwarts and things like that. I just think it was all over just a really good story of how three friends came to be in the very first one, and how three friends stayed together, and now obviously their kids are going to become friends because they're Harry Potter's kids, or you know, Ron and Hermione's kids. Or, so I think it's such a good, you know, ending, and that Harry gives up being an ultimate wizard for a normal wizard, and he just sacrifices, and again it just finishes off his character, and he just has it through the entire movie. So
exactly,
it was good, and I liked both of them. I think they were really, I know they're the darkest movies, but they also were two of my favorites. I think the last one was probably my second favorite out of all of them.
Definitely. I think I preferred part one over part two, just because I felt like part one was a little bit more true to the book. And then part two kind of went off in its own direction. But I think as a movie ending, it kind of had to be the way it was. Because, you know, books and films are different, you know, way different. They kind of need to serve different needs. So I understand why part two had to be more action-packed and more battles and more spectacle and everything like that. Because, you know, it's the big screen, you know, you have to have all this spectacle. And the book is a little bit more personal, the way it kind of ends. It's a little bit more kind of like one-on-one, kind of Harry and Voldemort kind of like circling each other, kind of like calling each other out. They're like in the middle of the Great Hall and everyone's watching. It's a little bit more personal, but yeah, totally understand why it has to be the way it is. But yeah, as a film, I think it's definitely satisfying for sure. And yeah, it had a great ending, and all was well, as the last line in the book by J.K. Rowling. And then at least until Cursed Child, but that's for another time. We won't have to talk about that one. But yeah, I thought it was a great film series overall, and I'm glad you enjoyed it and went on the ride with me. But yeah, so that was our review and discussion of the Harry Potter film series. Let us know what your favorite part of the Harry Potter films are in the comments below. And also, for our future video, if you want to ask Kristen and I any questions, any couples questions about like how we met, you know, how I asked you to be my girlfriend, you know, how I proposed to you,
how we made long distance work.
Exactly, because we were long distance for a little bit. So yeah, you can also ask any questions in the comments down below, and we'll pick out our favorites for a future video discussion. But yeah, thanks so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more videos. And
click the notification bell.
Exactly, so you'll know when new videos come up, because I know your feeds can be filled with like a bunch of different videos. But click that notification bell in order to get more future videos from us. But yeah, thanks so much for watching, and enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you in future videos. Bye, guys.
Bye.